Good afternoon, everyone. It's Kirsten here for a Thursday Spa Business Break. Now, we've got a new month, so that means that I've got a new focus for you, particularly for your spa business. So last month was all about how to manage and mitigate spa owner stress, because for many of you, summer is a very, very busy time. And the last thing that we need is for you to be so topped up from stress, whether it's from your business, maybe there's personal stuff contributing to it, and that you get to a point where, little things going wrong causes really big reactions. It doesn't need to happen. And when you have those big reactions, it takes a while for you to kind of, tone it down and get into your critical thinking brain. So if you are feeling like you are on edge, then I want you to revisit my previous Facebook Lives for June, because there's probably some really good nuggets in there for you. Okay, so let's move on to this month's topic, which is about preparing your business for the fall. I know that we just got started with summer, like it's literally July 4th. But if you don't get started now with your planning process, by the time September rolls around, you know this as much as I do, time goes by so quickly that the next thing you know is you really haven't done any kind of significant analysis and planning, and you're at September and you're like, oh my gosh, it's a little quieter. I'm needing some more revenues coming in, but I don't have a plan. And then really what happens at that point is that you shift into a bit of the reactive brain. And what happens from there is we're often using spray and pray tactics, particularly for things like marketing. When things get slow, everybody freaks out. And when you're in that reactive brain thinking, oh my gosh, we just need money coming in, it makes it really difficult to problem solve. But if we had just backed up the bus a little bit, like a couple of months, started the planning process, by the time you get to September, you can literally press go on your marketing, on any of your other business strategies, hiring, recruiting. Maybe you were thinking about bringing on something new, a piece of equipment, a new service, a new product line. All of those things, in order to launch them, take time, much more time than you actually think it will. For the private clients that I work with, when I teach them how to launch properly, they are always so surprised at how much planning is involved. And there's a reason for that, because the better we plan, the better our strategies are, the better we understand what's happening with our strategy as it's being actioned out. And if we need to pivot, we can pivot easily. But if we're just kind of like in it and not organized, then things just don't work out as well. And your idea to launch a new product, to launch a new service, to bring on a new hire kind of falls flat and doesn't really have the impact that you thought it would be. Okay, so today is specifically talking about fall, preparing for the fall, and even more focused on analysis. Because if we are kind of just jumping into our planning phase of our business, we're missing a huge amount of information. We're missing information from last fall. What happened? What was going on in the spa? Perhaps, if it was a quiet time of year for you, perhaps you decided to bring in a new product line to launch. Maybe you just kind of freaked out and threw some money at Facebook ads, hoping to try to get some more people looking at your business and converting and coming in as clients. So what I am suggesting that you try this year, instead of kind of doing the spray and pray and trying to figure it out on the fly, because that is no fun for everybody. It's just plain crazy making. What I want you to consider is blocking off some time in your admin. Next week would be really good for this, and having a analysis session. This is actually really fun to do with another SD bestie. Hop on a Skype and do it together. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not really sure how to do this. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do a business analysis. But it is much more fun, and the learning is a little deeper when we have an SD bestie to do this with. All right, so block off a few hours in your admin, at least a few hours to do this, because it's going to take some time to just gather your information, gather your data. What kind of data are you looking for? You're looking for any offers that you did last fall, any special promotions. Like an offer doesn't have to be a promotion, it can just be a feature. We want to know what your staffing levels were like if you have a team. You definitely want to look at your business metrics. So that is your service sales, your retail sales, combined sales, it's your retail to sales ratio, it's your average ticket. You can even break those down into average ticket service, average ticket retail, and combined. Then you're also looking at pre-booking and client retention, first visit retention, and existing retention. Now, I know some of you are using spa software that will not give you this kind of data. This is the problem when we're using, just booking software and not anything like, something more complete that is specifically for the spa industry, because most of those booking softwares wouldn't know what we need to look at for metrics, but they're important for us to make decisions when we're in our planning stage. What else do we need to look at? Your digital metrics for social media. Facebook and Instagram are probably the two top platforms most of the industry is using, so you need to have that data. Unfortunately, with Instagram, they really only give you very short little time periods to look at that data. What I use and what we use for our social media management clients is we use a software called Later, later.com, and it allows us to have much better metrics in there to see what's going on. You want your Facebook insights and you want your email insights as well. You need to have that information. Even if you are not doing consistent email sends, looking at your send list with your open rate and click-through rate will give you an idea about what your list is actually interested in. And if you're not looking at those metrics, then it's hard to know what emails are working and what ones are not, okay? The other final piece I want you to consider when you're doing your business analysis is, what was your personal situation like last fall? This has a huge impact on what's happening in your business. If you were going through something last fall, personally, it will affect your business outcomes. So if life went sideways last fall and it was absolutely reflected in your business metrics, then good news, if you're in a better position this year, you know that, oh, right, last year was a bit of a gong show because of XYZ. That's not happening, and so I should see much better growth happening this fall. Then you can start looking at other things that you can leverage as far as what you're going to be promoting and offering this fall. Okay, once you've got your data, then the next thing to do is to look at what worked, what didn't work, and there definitely will be places where you see the weak links. That's the information that we're looking for. We're looking for weak links and we're looking for great strength. And there is a little tool that I recommend that you use when you're doing this kind of analysis, and it's called a SWOT, S-W-O-T, and it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, this isn't something that only the spa industry uses. It's used across the board for all sorts of business analysis and planning. It's used in education. So it's really just a simple worksheet that allows you to kind of collect your data and put it onto a piece of paper to start making sense of it. So this is a copy of a SWOT that, it's going to be backwards in here. This is a copy of a SWOT that I made for, I think it was 2017 planning. So this was fall 2016 I made for some spa owners. And essentially just has strengths and weaknesses at the top, and you want to list them. So in the, conversation about, if you had something personal going on in your life, one of the weaknesses would be, I was going through XYZ. You want to look at the strengths. Maybe you had really great retail sales for September and October. You want to look at why that happened, and so that you can repeat it. But you definitely want to use a little worksheet like this to kind of distill your data into actual, starting to kind of create an actual plan for what you're going to do with that data. If you want a copy of this, I will send it to you. Just send me a DM with your email and I will send it over to you. Okay, now, based on your strengths and weaknesses, when you are working on this worksheet, once you've finished putting in your strengths and weaknesses for last year, you then want to start looking at what the opportunities are under the strengths. So if my retail was like really strong for September and October, I want to look at why it was strong, and then I want to look for the opportunities for this coming year that I can repeat to leverage my results even from last year. Now with weaknesses, it's the same thing. You want to list what your weaknesses are and turn them into little phrases about what the possible threats are for this year, so that you're not repeating what doesn't work. How frustrating. All right, so I just want to give another example of, using a SWOT analysis. So say last year you had a new hire, and unfortunately for last year, it was a weakness because they were a new hire at the end of the summer and they brought down a lot of your spa metrics as a whole because they were new. That just happens and we have to expect that. But what we know with that, that we can actually turn that weakness into an opportunity for this year because they've had a whole year under their belt of training. You are much more confident in recommending them to your clients. So perhaps there is some opportunity to do some staff spotlights in your social media and your email marketing to showcase their expertise, to pop in a couple of testimonials to create social proof. And it will begin a strategy for strengthening your team culture because it feels really good as a staff member to have a spotlight like that, to be featured. But it also instills confidence in your clients. So it's a win-win. So we've taken a threat from like a weakness from last year and turned it into an opportunity for this year. Okay, so what if you have a new hire this year, this summer, and you're going into the fall thinking, oh my gosh, like how am I going to do this? Yes, it's a threat, but you can take that threat, the weakness in the threat, and turn it into an opportunity by creating maybe a little extra training program for September and October to really dial into their skill set so that after their training is done, this little extra training, they feel more confident about what they're performing, and you feel much more confident about what they're doing with clients. So I hope that you're starting to see how you can take these strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats into your business analysis to start creating a strategy so that you're not kind of feeling like you're trying to pick ideas out of thin air as far as what's going to be an opportunity. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go back on last year, analyze it, and then start making decisions about, okay, what's different this year? How can we leverage our opportunity? How can we mitigate our threats? All right. The key piece about this is making sure that as a leader, as the spa owner, we are not stuck in the minutia of the day-to-day grind. This is called the hummingbird view. You're just flitting around, doing stuff. You're doing tasks. You're implementing some of your strategy, but you're like super close up and pivoting, moving. And when you're in hummingbird mode, it's really difficult to see the big picture. You probably recognize that. Like you have a day off and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be working on? It's a matter of knowing when to be in hummingbird view, zooming in, and when to zoom out and be in eagle view, where you can actually see the big picture of your business. You never want to do analysis or create strategy when you are in the hummingbird energy, like flitting around in the minutia of your day. Don't start working on this if you have a client cancel for an hour. You're just going to feel like you don't do anything well. Book this on a day where you have admin, where you don't have clients, so you can get your head into the right framework. And the right framework is zooming out into eagle view, being able to see a bigger picture. The SWOT analysis is the bigger picture. And then you can start making strategic decisions about your upcoming strategy for fall 2019. All right, so if you have questions, if you want the SWOT analysis, pop your name below. If you want to send me your email, send me a DM if you don't want to put it in the comments below. But if you have your own little strategy, your way of doing, analysis and strategy for the upcoming fall, that's a little different from this. Love to hear that. But either way, I hope that you found this valuable and that you can take a few of these tips and implement them for yourself. I'm crossing my fingers that you're going to start next week. Thanks, Sylvia. And that you're not going to procrastinate on this. Oh, procrastination. I'll get to it later. Next thing you know, it's like the week before September and you're looking at your September books going, oh my word, I wish I had just booked that in July. So here I am being a little bit of a mom saying, book your time, do your homework. All right, thanks for joining me. Have a really great 4th of July for all of you in the US celebrating Independence Day. We had our Canada Day on July 1st on Monday. So enjoy your weekend with your friends and your family. Make sure you schedule in next week for your admin time to do your business analysis. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me.